you guys see my cup, by the way? Look at this.
Oh, that's cool.
It's actually
it's a crime scene Starbucks.
It's a crime scene Starbucks cup, and it's got blood in it. And actually, the blood moves around.
Oh.
Is that like an official Starbucks cup?
Oh, it was an official Starbucks cup that someone on Etsy turned into this. So,
that's badass.
Which is pretty cool, right? Because you know who goes into crime? You know who investigates crime? The police. Bad boys. What you gonna do? Welcome, everybody, to Simply Amazing, everyone. I am your host, one of your hostesses with the mostesses. My name is Lisa, a.k.a. the OG Nocturne, a.k.a. the one and only Nocturne. If you see any other Nocturnes out there, that is not the original. You want to come to me for the best. Better than all the rest. And we are really excited because we have an amazing, awesome guest here, and we're going to talk about some future stuff that hasn't even happened yet with Kurt. So that is really exciting. But before we get to it, I'm going to pass it on over to the other hostess with the mostest. Lauren, go ahead.
What's up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood by Lauren, and I'm super excited in particular because I got the pleasure of helping to pick out our guest today. I've got Chris Evans. No, not that Chris Evans, but a better Chris Evans from Twitter here to come talk with us. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, it's going pretty good. I don't know if I could match the energy you guys just brought, though. I'm going to try.
It's okay. I want to say when Lauren said Chris Evans was coming, I was like, oh. And then she was like, not that Chris Evans. I was like, ow. And then she was like, but he wants to talk about Nightcrawler. I was like, oh, okay. So it all worked out.
It evens out, yeah. I love Nightcrawler and X-Men, so we're good.
There you go.
At this point, I think it's a better Chris Evans because I don't think the other Chris Evans talks about Nightcrawler at all. Like, I don't Probably know, not. But I doubt it. And
I'm going to challenge him right now. Other Chris Evans, which I think it's funny we're calling him the other Chris Evans.
Yes.
Captain America Chris Evans, if you're confused. Captain America Human Torch Chris Evans. I'm challenging you now to talk about Nightcrawler from my tiny little Nightcrawler podcast that you'll never hear. Challenge is out there.
It's a shame he'll talk about Human Torch, but not Nightcrawler, just saying.
Yeah.
Putting that Chris Evans in the same sentence as the words tiny is hilarious in my head. Anyways, Chris, please tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do. Obviously, I know you from Twitter.
Well, I basically just tweet a lot of bullshit. It's a mixture of movies and
Isn't
comics.
that what we all do?
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, just tweeting some bullshit, sometimes good, sometimes not. It's up to you. That's kind of what I do.
And you're a big nerd like we are. You used to do some X-Men talk videos with me and our friend Steve and stuff. And when I asked you, hey, what do you want to talk about? You were and are still obviously super excited to talk about Kurt's future with like the Legionnaires coming out. And basically we're going to be the destiny about Kurt right now. I feel like you are our destiny, Chris. We want to know what you see, what's coming.
The destiny of Nightcrawler.
I could be Destiny, but I still insist Sinister is the MVP. And I will nap on that.
But you're not pulling a Sinister right now. You're pulling a Destiny.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, first of all, what do you think about Kurt getting the title, getting to lead the title that's obviously upcoming, Legionnaires? What do you think about that title? Are you excited about it? Are there things you're hesitant about? What you think's gonna happen there?
I'm very excited about it because they've actually, they've given him these solo books here and there throughout the years. I was actually reading one last night doing my homework for the show, but they give him these titles and it's usually something wacky. Like the one I was reading, he gets transported to a different world and he's a pirate and they keep calling him a bogey or something.
Oh, that's the Cockrum one from the 80s.
Yeah. It's actually a lot of
classic.
Fun. It's fun. Yes. But, I like this because it'll be something more grounded and something that he could really sink his teeth into, especially with where he's at in the X-Men world right now. He's a very important character. And, a lot of people want to brush him aside. Oh, he's just like comic relief or he's the priest character. He's not going to do much. No, he's doing it now.
I think you made a really good point when you talked about his miniseries or his series he's had. They've always been very disconnected from the
Hmm.
X-Men. A lot of his stories, just in general, have just always been very disconnected from the X-Men. And one thing I was thinking of today was just, you know, Trial of Magneto is happening. The new issue comes out soon, and you know, during the Hellfire Gala, we see Kurt is passed out right where Wanda and Eric are, and it's like that's just something that just happens. And to me,
Hmm.
I thought that was something that would lead somewhere, and it's clearly not going to. So I'm thinking like, so this seems to be a character that exists in his own bubble sometimes, and like his narratives don't seem to connect to the X-Men a lot. So I don't know, for a character that's been around as long as he has, and a character that is as important to the X-Men as he is, sometimes it just feels like he's kind of floating around and not really connecting with the actual important stories that are going on. So I think that's something that you brought up that I was just thinking about. So
Yeah, he should be a bigger part of the team, you know, and they don't treat him that way. So to see him get his own book like this, and especially what he's done these last few things he's been in, like Way of X, you know, Laura and I have talked about it. I didn't love Way of X, but I liked a lot about it, and I liked the point of it, and I liked him in it. So
yes,
it's just cool to see him, like you said, he's going to be a firm part of everything now, and I like that. So I'm excited to see where he goes.
Yeah, I like that
totally.
he is he's a focal point, and it seems like hopefully he's becoming a leader of the plot, because that's the other thing too.
Hmm.
Like he's been on the council and everything, but he's always just pushed to the side, like, oh, he's just another vote, and which way is he, going to make a little vote. But like his vote isn't little number one and two. He has just as many intense thoughts about all these situations and how he makes decisions, and he's just as influential as other characters. And when you point
Well,
out,
his
Chris,
vote
the
was the
whole
deciding vote, right, for Destiny.
Hmm.
His vote was the
right, and
deciding vote.
nobody's talking about that. Like most X-Men fans aren't talking about that, and it drives me insane. And then, also what Chris said with the whole, well, just because he's a priest character doesn't mean he can't do other things. Oh my God, stop! He's not the priest character anymore. No, yes, he is religious, but being religious does not tie you down. Stop it. Stop. Give him more than that. And I hope in Legionnaires they don't, that his character becomes more than that in a lot of ways and branches out from that. But I am also slightly concerned that the motivations behind the team of the Legionnaires could become problematic from what I've seen, from what the last, the Onslaught Revelation revealed about kind of why the team's being made and what they're going to do. They're basically just cops.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Mutant cops.
Yeah.
I I'm curious what you guys feel about the actual team itself that we've seen so far. Like the actual members of the team.
So we gotta remember who's on the
Yeah, I'm
team.
trying to remember.
We've got Kurt, obviously. We've got Juggernaut, which is hilarious. We've got Pixie. We've got Blindfold. Forget Me Not, possibly, and Dr. Nemesis. So these are the ones we could see on that last page, basically, in Onslaught Revelation.
Yeah, Chris, what's your takeaway? What do you think about this team just from the start?
I don't love the team. I
Okay.
don't love them.
All
I
right.
I think something that the Krakoan era has done specifically is create these random teams. Like, oh, here's a mutant
Mm-hmm.
you've never heard of unless you've read the first issue from 1977 of this line. You know, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's what the Krakoan era has done, and this is another example in a way. But you look at the individual members, Juggernaut with Nightcrawler is such an odd pairing.
I disagree. I'm gonna let you keep going, but I disagree, and I'll tell you in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know. That one, Pixie is cool. I don't know. It's just a weird team. But what I think stands out to me is that Kurt and Juggernaut are the most well known characters, which I guess means that they are going to be the weight, which is cool. And then you can build these other characters around them. So that I do like. But I would have preferred something else.
I personally don't. I don't think this is the full team. I think
Hmm.
Forget Me Not is a joke. I don't necessarily think we're actually going to see him on the team. I feel like that was like either Cy Spurrier or Bob Quinn decided to just throw him on there. Because he's been like a meme all over the internet for a while, like the forget me not meme. Like it's just So yeah, part of me and we know that Bob Quinn specifically is known for kind of sneaking little Easter eggs into his art, and I mean that's an enormous kind of Easter egg to put into like a team lineup, but I kind of wouldn't put it past him to do something like that if everybody was on board to be like, hey, let's just throw forget me not in there because why not? Because that would be totally on brand too. Because imagine the team lineup comes up and it's like, wasn't forget me not there? And it's like, who? Like, what are you talking about? Doesn't that just completely make sense? But going back to the Juggernaut of it all, so I disagree. Only because Juggernaut was on New Excalibur with Nocturne. So
Yep.
Yes.
So it's like it's and Juggernaut was also on Nightcrawler's X-Men team during Chuck Austin's days. So this is not the first time they worked together.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, so Juggernaut that was I think the first time Juggernaut went good was during Chuck Austin's X-Men. So and Nightcrawler and Angel kind of were the de facto leaders of the team, and Havoc, I don't know, it kind of was like a three-way, like it would kind of go back and forth between three of them depending on the story. But Juggernaut was on the team at that time. And then he went from there to New Excalibur, and then I think he like went bad again. I don't know, whatever. And now he's good again.
For now.
Anytime Juggernaut's good, there's like throw him here and see what happens. And I don't know. Again, I haven't read everything he's been in when he's good, but like I don't know how well he works as a good guy. Like, what does he work well as a good guy in your opinion?
Yeah, I was wondering.
I really like Juggernaut as a good guy when they write him as like a really flawed good guy. Like, Juggernaut was one of the things I thought Chuck Austin did really well. I liked his take on Juggernaut because he wrote Juggernaut as like this character who like was trying to do well, but was still just really awful in a lot of ways. Like, there's this one whole scene where Juggernaut and North Star are like flying somewhere, and the whole time Juggernaut is just being really homophobic and awful to him, and John Paul is just like letting it completely rub off him and like, who cares, But to me, I like the scene because it's like, this makes total sense to me. This is like, Juggernaut is a total piece of shit anyway. I also read Juggernaut as gay. I think Juggernaut's gay. So that also reads to me as like that kind of like, like, I'm not gay, you're gay kind of thing,
He's a closeted homophobe that can't accept himself and he lives in denial.
Yeah. And like the whole idea of this scene too is like Juggernaut is like going off on Jean Paul, who's doing him a favor, giving him a ride to Canada to go help his like little boy he's friends with. It's a whole weird thing. And this all happened during the Draco. So, which I recommend to everybody listening, please put down what you're doing right now and go read the Draco and then come back.
Please, if you read the Draco, have something to drink or whatever you do to cope with things while you read that, because it'll hurt.
we don't recommend substances, but the Draco basically is a substance. So do not operate heavy machinery while reading the Draco. But no, I enjoy him as a good guy. I think that he's got a lot of fun nuance as a good guy. He's a fun, like, just brawler, like, bad guy, like, just a brawler, like, throw his weight around, like, kind of guy. And I think that's when Juggernaut's the most fun, is good or bad. When Juggernaut's the most fun is when he's just straight, like, I'm the Juggernaut, and I'm just going to walk through stuff. Until
he's just gonna run through walls. Yeah.
That is his best.
Like when the other podcast I have is the X-Men Evolution podcast, and we covered the Juggernaut episode, and it's like Juggernaut just like walked out of his containment in North Carolina and started walking to New York until he got there.
Yeah.
And Xavier was like, well, I'm just gonna wait until he gets here. And it's like, you have a jet and he's destroying schools and everything on the way, dude. You can't you're just gonna wait, But that's Professor Gaslighter for you. So.
I was gonna say, Professor Gaslighter knows the long game. That's what he prides himself in, I'm sure. But anyways, I think out of this whole team, the most interesting person on it makes sense they're on it, but I don't like it, is Dr. Nemesis. Mm-hmm. I feel very not great about Dr. Nemesis on this team. Like, that's the problem. That's the everything bad's gonna happen because of this dude.
Yeah, I don't like Doctor Nemesis. I know he's become popular. I don't like him at all.
Yeah, I enjoyed him in Way of X as
Mhm.
like, here's that crazy doctor growing mushrooms on his head. Like I enjoyed that, but then it's like, doesn't he have? I don't know much about him, but doesn't he have a whole Nazi background?
He's really problematic in general, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I'm kind of with you both. Like Chris mentioned, the team so odd, and I think Lisa, you're the one that said, like, or maybe it was Chris that said, but Krakoa, they keep throwing all these teams together with all these characters,
Mm.
and it's both good and bad. There's some teams they throw together like Hellions that you're like, this would never work, and then you read it and you're like, what the fuck, this madness works. And then there's other teams they throw together and you think it's gonna work, and then it's not horrible, but also doesn't work as well. Like, that's how I feel about the current X-Men squad. The lineup is chill, but I dropped that book because I was like, this is going absolutely nowhere. And so I'm interested to see what their intention is with this Legionnaires team. Is it a team that's going to stick around, or they want to stick around a while? Is it a team that they're going to change up after the fifth book? Like,
I just wish they'd called it Krakoa 911 and put him in some nice dangle pants, and you know.
That should be a variant cover.
I actually made I'll have to post it. I made like a Krakoa 911. And this is the funny part is I couldn't for the life of me put Dr. Nemesis' face on top of Niecy Nash. So I was just like, you know what? Niecy Nash is just going to be part of it. So it's basically the team and Niecy Nash is part of it.
I like that better.
There you go. Exactly. So Niecy Nash is officially an X-Man.
I was
I
gonna say,
like that
tweet
better.
that at Marvel. You can do the marketing for them because
I
their
will.
marketing is garbage anyway.
Oh, girl.
I
It is
I
though.
was hold
She's
on.
not wrong.
I had a question for Chris. What was the question? Moving, moving with the Legionnaires and stuff. Were you hoping for Kurt's character there? Because we talked to Loba about it, right? But like, what are you hoping we'll see happen with Kurt as he's with the Legionnaires, both as a leader and both just on his own?
Well, as a leader, I want to see a book where Kurt is respected. You know, I don't think he gets that. So I want Kurt to get some respect in this thing. He is
Yeah.
the mutant cop, the main mutant cop. Let's see it. So I want to see like Juggernaut, for example. He's 3 times his size. I want to see that guy asking Kurt, "What do we do?" I want to see that. And for his own like personal stuff, the same thing I've been wanting to see. I like the idea that they want to build out all these random characters. It's awesome. But you can't build out your random characters until you build out your core characters. And Kurt is one
Uh-huh.
that they keep skipping over. Like you mentioned, his vote was the deciding vote. Nobody is talking about it, and they should be because it's important. He sided with his mother, who they don't even get along, but why did he do that? That's a big
I
deal.
I feel like it's going to come up. I have faith that like there's just no way that Hickman's not going to address it because you just you don't give that much real estate in a comic book to that.
Hmm.
It's 3 panels are given to that vote. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense to me that that much would be given to that if it was just a matter of like, oh yeah, no, it's his mom, and he wants to make his mom happy. When on earth
Right.
has Kurt wanted to make freaking? He doesn't even want to make Bargali happy, and she freaking raised him. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, give me a break.
Yeah, I think that's just we've talked about it on the Inferno app. I think that's just it's just it has to come back to it somewhere somehow. And I hope they've come back to it in Inferno because, Inferno is Hickman's last thing, at least for now. We'll see. But I definitely agree with the respected thing, Chris. Like yes, he's fun and silly, but he also needs to be respected for the fact that he can both be fun and silly and seen as intelligent as he is and is such a great leader. I remember my other question. How do you feel about, because he's getting Legionnaires, right? But
Mhm.
how do you feel? We talked about this in Discord a bit recently. How do you feel about what if Nightcrawler were to lead a team like the Marauders? Because to me, I don't personally like Kurt as a mutant cop. Like, I don't like that. I think that's ridiculous. I've always felt he fights more for the underdog and stuff, and uses his good morals to do so. What do you think about if he was made a Marauder, though?
I like the Marauders thing, but I'm really leaning into the mutant cop because I think it's something cool for him and it's new. Because Marauders seems like more his wheelhouse. That's what we're used to with him. Mutant Cop, well, I just like calling it that. They should have called the book that, Mutant Cops. Or Krakoa 911.
Krakoa 911.
Yeah, I think that's a better title. I like it because it's different with him, and he gets to be assertive. And coming off of Way of X and Onslaught, which I didn't really like the Onslaught book, but coming off of that, he's firmly planted in a different light now. And I think taking him back to Marauders, it doesn't erase what's happened or diminish it, but I do think it takes away some of the importance of what he's done so far in Krakoa and Way of X. So I like him as in Legionnaires as the mutant cop. I prefer it.
Yeah. So you think Legionnaires is a next step? So
Like evolution.
If your destiny, yeah, and the evolution. So if you're Kurt's destiny right now, if you're the destiny of Kurt, where do you think? Obviously, we haven't seen it yet. The book coming out might change your thoughts. But right now, where do you see him going after Legionnaires? What do you think that could lead to?
That one I have no idea because I'm excited to see what they're doing. But if I had to put my Destiny helmet on, the badass helmet, I'm going to say he's going to end up on the regular X-Men team.
Okay, so you do think he's going to get there?
Yeah, I think Jean and Scott are leaving. I think they established that, didn't they? I'm a book behind.
I don't know, but they need to, because that's like half the reason I dropped it. I was like, Scott and Jean don't need to lead this team. Like, they helped get it set up, but they can go. Like, let Polaris lead, and then let Polaris, help Laura grow into being a leader, and then eventually Laura's going to lead the team. Like, come on.
That's a great idea. I love that. Polaris and Laura working together is just great for me.
I have the brain cell. Marvel, pay me.
I like it. Mutant cops. Let's do it.
Krakoa 911. Okay, wait. So if you could make, since we're talking about how we all are kind of feeling kind of iffy about Legionnaires team, if you could make the perfect team with Legionnaires, with obviously Kurt still leading, we're not changing that. But other than that, you can put, let's just go with what we talked about, the 5 other people. So you have 5 other people you can put on Krakoa 911. Who else are you putting on that team with Kurt leading?
I'm switching out Dr. Nemesis for Laura.
Good choice.
I'm putting Laura as the mutant cop. Wolverine.
You're putting Laura as a mutant cop? I hate everything about that sentence.
I like it.
That's illegal.
I trust Laura to be a mutant cop more than I trust Logan to be a mutant cop. I'll say that.
But no, it's not that I don't trust her. It's that I don't think that's in character for her at all. Like, oh, that just.
Well, I think it goes back to it goes back to like, what are we talking about? Like, what's a mutant cop? Because how in character is it for a Kurt, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we're saying. Like, I think if reading into like whatever type of mutant cop Kurt would be, I think Laura could fit into that mold. But yeah, that's what I can see that.
They could be like
I feel like Angel should be on the team. Oh, sorry, what was that?
I was saying they could be like a new kind of, not like the cop you think of, but like a different kind of cop, maybe.
Oh, but now we're talking about how do you change what cops are. Now I'm interested. What makes a mutant cop different from a regular human cop, quote?
We'll have to ask Laura. I don't know.
They don't do Miranda rights.
Laura.
They do Jean Grey rights. They don't read your Miranda rights.
You have the right. Actually, really perfect.
You have the right to stop thinking anything because we're gonna hear it, bitch.
Maybe Emma Frost should be on the team then.
No, but then she. Kurt, how is Kurt gonna boss her around? How does anybody boss Emma Frost around?
That's why he needs the respect.
With her consent. That's how anyone bosses Emma Frost around.
Are you? Oh my God! That could be another blonde that seduces Kurt, and Scott and Jean can just calm down. Okay, just. I'm loving this chaos.
Kurt definitely has a soft spot for blondes, specifically blondes who present themselves into any type of danger at all. Literally, Emma just has to look at him and be like, "Oh shoot, we're out of half and half," and he's just like, "Oh,"
He's like, ma'am, I am so sorry. Let me fix every part of your life. I'm on my knees, whatever.
He's like calling Starbucks, like, how do I open a franchise in Krakoa right now? And they're like, what the hell is a Krakoa?
That's hilarious. Yeah, earlier I was saying I think Angel would be on the team. I think he fits a mutant cop team perfectly.
I agree with that. I could see Angel. Could you imagine Angel and Kurt doing good cop, bad cop? They roll in and the bad guy is like, the bad guy knows what's coming. The bad guy's like, okay, the devil guy's going to be bad. The angel guy's going to be good. And they swap it. Completely swap it. He doesn't know what's coming.
Oh my god, Buddy Cop show. You've done it. You've created the Krakoa 911 with the Buddy Cop vibes.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Wait, what would it be called? It can't be like Angel and Devil. It's got to be like, oh my gosh, what would it be called?
Oh, I don't know. We have to get there.
Oh my god, Sinners, Sinners and Saints. Sinners and Saints is the name of
Krakoa
our Buddy Cop show.
The Krakoa 911 Sinners and Saints. It's a spinoff. It's gonna be like Law and Order. You're gonna have all these sub shows.
Krakoa 911 Sinners and Saints. This one is like this one takes place in like the inner city of Krakoa, you know, where it's like you know where like the crazy like stuff like in the tunnels. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there is an inner city of Krakoa. Like Krakoa is fantastic. Probably not. I don't know. There's one tunnel where something bad happens every day, and that is where Saints and Sinners takes place.
That makes sense. Absolutely. That one tunnel.
I'd like to think Kurt has a trench coat and his tail just sticks out, and he wears like a fedora too.
Absolutely. And that beard. Oh my god, that beard.
He removes his fedora with his tail every time. Never uses his hands on his fedora.
Yes.
That is what you do.
Yes.
And if he ever and the way you know that that's not him, like if it's shapeshifter or something weird's happening, is if you see him use his hand to take off his fedora. Everybody gasps, and nobody else that watches the show, they're all like, "Where? What? He just removed his hat." You're like, "No, but use his hand, not his tail. It's not."
Oh
him.
my god. It's like the Inglourious Bastard scene, the 3 scene with Michael Fassbender. Oh my god! Except less people dying.
If it's in the tunnel,
yeah.
Whatever happens in tunnel, who knows? It could be a massacre down there. I don't know.
That's true. Hey, Marvel, we're gonna pitch it. The tunnel. It's the it's the partner book. Spin-off. It's the partner book to Legion. Wait, to Krakoa 911. Okay, we got a lot to pitch. Marvel.
Sinners and Saints. The first storyline is called The Tunnel. It's 6 issues.
I'm just saying, Marvel, you're gonna have to pencil us in for an afternoon. It's not like we got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about. Chris, is there anything else with Kurt's future and what you're hoping to see, what you're concerned about? Is there anything else about his future that you wanted to touch on? We've talked a lot about Legionnaires because that's more immediate, but
my concern is that they're going to sweep him under the rug again. Like we're gonna see this like Kurt revolution. We're all going to be happy. Like, okay, cool. They're highlighting a cool character. He's getting his stuff done. And then when it's over, we're going to be like, oh, where's Kurt? Okay, I guess he's back in the background. Or he's... Oh,
like when they had a whole big sword fight and they didn't invite the one freaking swordsman.
Yes.
Swear to God.
Instead, we just saw Apocalypse ride into the sunset with the power of love. For no reason.
Yeah. Why wasn't that Kurt? Why was it... Now I'm mad. Why wasn't that Kurt?
Because Wanda wasn't ready.
Wanda, you better get ready, boo-boo, I swear. At this point, I don't even care. I don't even have the biggest OTP ship for him. I just want him happy.
It's coming, girl. I'm going to write it.
Marvel. But that's hilarious. If you think about the head mutant cop with the one who decimated mutants and such. How ironic is that? That's some Shakespearean shit.
Oh my God. After a hard day of work, he goes back and he's just like, and she's like, baby, how many mutants did you have to arrest? And he's like, so many. And she's like, oh, tell me more. And they just go right to the bedroom.
That's horrible, but...
Vision?
Does Vision know about this?
I mean, they can have a weird threesome going on like Logan and Jean and Scott have. And Emma's thrown in there, right? So pour some?
Vision's in the kitchen cooking up the waffles. He's the freaking toaster.
That's a good place for Vision.
You know what? If Vision isn't up to doing the other stuff, he can just let Kurt do it. They all have their place. Everybody's happy.
Is that like that series with Bill Paxton? What was it called?
Oh, Big Love.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that.
Except that like they're not gonna make Kurt marry anybody because they're the whatever. We won't get into it. Big Love's a great show. I recommend it to everybody. It's wonderful. I'm like on the precipice of getting into like LDS politics. I'm like, what am I doing? Hello, this is an X-Men podcast. Never mind. Watch Big Love. It's fantastic. I loved it. I big loved it.
Oh, love that for you.
Thank you.
I kind of agree with you, Chris, because it seems to happen. Like, again, people are like, well, what do you mean Kurt hasn't got a lot of attention? He's out all these limited series and stuff. Like, people know who he is. But it seems like every single time he like gets a new series and we're like, wow, spotlight for him. Or something happens shortly after he gets swept under the rug. And it just keeps happening. They just keep using him as a character to bring back once in a while, and then they're like, okay, he's not important. Like, when can he consistently be, understood and shown as one of the most important characters in the entire X-Men franchise? Because that's exactly what he is.
There is more to X-Men than Wolverine.
Yes, 100%. I think one of the things too with Kurt especially is like, so he was a character that like really shone in the 1980s and 1990s because he was in Excalibur. He had his own space. And since leaving and coming back from that space, like Kitty has come back from that space and managed to shine. And like they've been able to tell some good stories with her. Writers have clearly, there have been a lot of writers, for good or worse, who have really wanted to tell stories with her and like there's been a lot of progression with her. I mean, now she's Kate. She's come out as bisexual. So like there's a lot of stuff that's been done with Kitty over the years.
She hasn't come out as bi. That's not a thing. She hasn't
come out as bi, yes, but it's in the panel that she kissed the girl.
Once. Straight women kiss other girls all the time. So Marvel, I'm gonna need you to say it on page. I'm tired. Give her a girlfriend. Do something.
That's true.
Sorry, that just gets me very mad.
No, you're absolutely right. But going back to what I was saying, but basically, like since Excalibur, Kitty has gotten a lot of stories and has gotten a lot of evolution, whereas Kurt seems to have kind of stagnated. Like he really hasn't gotten the same. Like he got the Draco, and then after that, he seemed untouchable. Like it seemed like nobody knew what to do with him after that. It was just like, whatever they tried to do with him. Like honestly, the mini that he had in the 2000s, I thought that was great. That was a little bit spiritual, a little bit, paranormal. It started with the ghost stories, and then it went into him kind of like going into his past with the circus and everything. I thought that was really good. I thought that could have gone on longer and done more, but again, it was a story that had almost nothing to do with the X-Men. It was completely separate. It had, some of the X-Men were in it, but the main other character was the night nurse, Christine Palmer, who I just found out was in the Doctor Strange movie. I didn't even know that because I didn't see it. But Rachel McAdams was in it, so it's like, girl, get ready because Rachel, you might be banging Kurt one day. Anyway. Who knows? X-Men are coming to the MCU, baby. But yeah, so it's just, it just felt like, for a character that literally led a team through the 1980s and 90s and was so big, and then all of a sudden, and has really been in every property. He was in X-Men Evolution. He was in Wolverine and the X-Men. He has always been featured in like the video games. He has always been featured in, everything they've done. He's always been in. And then, for him just kind of like, they don't really do anything with him in the comics. They haven't. Like they've, whenever they try, it just kind of, the next writer doesn't really pick up on it. It just, it's just heartening as a fan.
But that's what we're here for. That's why we have this podcast where we can talk about Nightcrawler in 20 different ways, at least, if not 500. We've got over like 50 something episodes planned already, and it's going to pile up.
I'm saying, you say 20 different ways at least. I'm like, we have 20 already recorded, girl. Like,
yes, it's going to be great. And Chris, I hope you're right with your Destiny of Kurt prediction that he is going to go back to the main X-Men team, because I would actually Love that for him. And it would be really, actually, I don't know if it would happen, but it'd be really fascinating to see him actually lead the main X-Men team.
I think he belongs on the main team. He's not a
Mm.
side character to me. He's a main character. Like anytime you build an X-Men team, or I build one in my head, he's always on that main roster.
Amen.
I completely agree. I mean, it's so fun. Why would you not want him on your team too? Like I just remember like playing as him in like the X-Men Legends games and teleporting everywhere and stuff. Like just using him in that way,
Mm-hmm.
For the field and tactical reasons makes perfect sense. And then add his personality and everything else about him. Like what more could you love there? Chris, any final thoughts you had on it? Anything we didn't touch that you feel the need to scream or very calmly talk about?
I didn't know I was allowed to scream stuff. You know, I love screaming stuff.
Always, always.
No, not right now. But you guys mentioned that he's in all media. I wanted to say that they even make a point to use him a lot in the last two Fox X-Men
Yes.
movies, and he was like, I don't remember the kid. I think it's Cody
Smith McPhee.
Smith McPhee. Yes, he was awesome as Kurt.
He was very good. I liked him.
I loved him, and when he goes nuts at the end of Dark Phoenix, that just shows you Kurt's like he does a lot of stuff. He's not just funny. He's not just like cuddly because he's furry. He's not a priest. He'll murder some people if he has to. He'll cut somebody.
Oh yeah, I talk about it all the time. One of my favorite Kurt moments ever, is with AOA Kurt when he teleports the shark into Blob's stomach, and the shark eats Blob out. It's ridiculous. There's no grounding in reality because literally you see Kurt manifest within Blob with the shark, and it's like there's no way a man and a shark can fit inside that man. There's just no way. But it's so satisfying to watch because like in his reality, Blob ate Kurt's wife.
I'm completely with you. That's one of the greatest things I've seen. Every time somebody's like, oh, but like Kurt's just so nice and calm. I'm like, okay, so I know this is technically AU, but also look at this comic. And they lose their minds. They're like, oh my God, he did that. I'm like, yes. And he is my baby and he will do it again.
He carries a sword.
And, and he's been pretty ruthless. He's done some ruthless things in like 616 too. It's not like he's not all cuddles and happiness and whatever. Like, you know, he's ruthless when he has to be. He just doesn't always want to be. That's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, on that note, this has been fantastic. Chris, thank you so much for coming to join us.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. Well, where can we find you online? Tell us everywhere we can find you so we can come stalk you.
Everywhere. Well, my main thing is Twitter, so you guys can follow me there at that Chris Evans 0.
Oh, that Chris Evans 0. The one without the blue check mark, right?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to get one, but they're not letting me have it. Something about another guy. Yeah. I don't know. Some other guy.
You know what you gotta do? You gotta wear the Captain America mask. You could try that, right? That might work.
Maybe I'll just get a shield and just cover it like that.
Get you some Nightcrawler makeup or Nightcrawler mask. Maybe we'll get the blue check mark then. There you go.
I gotta get a German accent, though. I don't know how that's gonna work.
Yeah.
I can't even read it. Da. There we go. Da.
Nah, it was horrible. It was awful. And I have German ancestors, and I'm like, they're spinning right now. I can feel it. Well, everybody, thank you all so much for joining us for another simply amazing episode of Simply Amazing. I, again, was Lisa, aka the OG Nocturne. You can find us on everything. We have our fabulous website that is happening. We've got a blog now, which is pretty awesome. And we have been writing about all of our Nightcrawler stuff on the blog. If you want to write about Nightcrawler stuff, or you have anything you want to say, tell us about it. We'll write about it. You can write about it, or whatever else. Or if you want to write about if you want to write about how Batman and Nightcrawler are friends, who knows?
I would like that. They should be.
Let us know, guys, if you want to be a guest, too. Like, let us know. We'd love to have you come on and talk about why you love Nightcrawler, or why you love something about Nightcrawler, or something related to anybody with Nightcrawler. Or, listen, if you can make it work, we'll record it. We'll talk to you about it, because we just want to talk about people who are passionate about stuff and love stuff as much as we do. And so, like I said, find us, simplyamazingpod.com is where our website is. You can also find us on Twitter at simplyamazingpod. That's simply AMZING pod. We're also on Instagram, same name. We're on Nightcrawlers on Facebook. Lauren, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at friendlymBHD. Bye.
All right, and for those of you who are in the car right now, I'm so sorry. I know you were listening to us. You might have gone a little bit above the speed limit, and there's someone behind you. Well, when you roll down the window and they ask for your ID and registration, just tell them that you know Kurt over at Krakoa 911 because you are simply amazing.